Welcome, everyone, to episode 12 of the Super Mater Brothers podcast presenting episode 12 of Survivor Season 50. I am Jaemeel, joined with Becky,
Hi.
and also Foster's here. Hold on, you'll get to see him in a second. But as you've noticed, that Dave is not here. Dave is halfway around the world having fun at the Mater International, right? Golf tournament. So unfortunately, he sends his regards. He's unable to make it. And our good old Jason R is also unable to make it due to an early arrival, if you will. And he'll have to give that news. But for the time being, it is me and my wonderful wife, Becky,
Hi.
joining you. I do not have an interesting, wordplay that Dave usually does. If this is your first time doing a Super Mario Brothers run by me, you'll know that it's a little bit janky, but we enjoy the jank. So, joining me on this journey, joining us, is good old Foster. Welcome, Foster.
Happy to be here, Jaemeel. Happy to fill in pick up the slack while Dave and Jason are away, And at the end of the day, they're both doing pretty important things. It sounds like so.
Yes.
But to me, not as important. As someone who doesn't have a wife, doesn't have a kid, doesn't have a family golf tournament to go to. This is, I had no voice last week, Jaemeel. And I apparently still should have made the effort so you could have heard my raspy, low volume, very, very monotone takes more so than usual.
Well, you know what, Foster, because you're here, right? And because we missed you so much last week, please, if you have any thoughts from last week's episode, we will give you this time to provide it to us.
Okay, am I on a clock here, Jaemeel, like a 24-second shot clock here? Or no?
There's no clock. There's no clock.
Pitch count, pitch clock. I know how much you love those, right? So it's actually funny because so again, like I was sick last week. Somewhat busy weekend, right? I actually watched the first half of the episode of last week yesterday, and then I actually finished watching the second half. So like no commercial, it's an hour long, right? So I finished the second half hour right before today's episode. So I had 2 straight hours of Survivor tonight, but it was actually a fun 2 hours of watching compared to what we've previously seen where, in 2 hours, it's like one person voted out and I got to see 4 people voted out in a matter of 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. But no, I don't know. Like in terms of last week, it's really interesting that this season has been very I guess a great unknown to the players, where there's been so much that has not been the same. Has like the twist or something that it's not like it's a variation of a previous twist. It's like completely new. With Christian, basically had to vote for himself. Last week, the fact that Jonathan was voting in both, I didn't get that concept at first, by the way. Jonathan won the idol. I didn't realize he was able to vote at first in both tribals. I thought he was just watching. But obviously, being the 5th or the odd number, it made sense for a majority vote. And then also learning that Suri got to use her double vote twice, which I thought it was like kind of a first time you use it, and then the second time, even though they would have, had the vote still, right? If it was 3-2 in that second vote around, right? I thought speaking of the first tribal, I thought Emily's plan was actually pretty solid, and it almost worked. They really used all their votes with Suri's extra votes to make sure that they evenly split it. It was 2 Suri, 2 Devons, 2 Emily. Devons used the idol, and Emily went home in a revote, right? So it really basically it all came down to Suri having that extra vote that saved her. Spoilers for only one more week. And So I thought that was a fun tribal. I thought Ozzy's was just like PTSD watching it. It was like he again, but it was two things. One, it was PTSD for Ozzy, where it's happened to him before. He's made this mistake. But it was also very, I can't remember I think his name was Andy. It was a few seasons ago. It was on Genevieve's season where he
Andy.
revealed the plan.
He was the co-creator of Operation Italy, if you remember.
Yeah. And he was riding high. You had really high hopes for him. And then he just told, I think it was Camilla, I think he told everything to. And he just put his foot in his mouth. And that's what Ozzy did, right? Exactly what Andy had done a few seasons ago, where you were trying to buy jury votes, and just but Ozzy's, for me personally, it was you feel for the guy. Obviously you made your same mistake, you did it again. Probably, I personally thought he was able to go far. If he didn't talk, he may have survived the episode, kind of thing, right? So that at the end of the day, the last episode I thought was pretty good, last week's episode. And it was really kind of cool to see that extra kind of element of Jonathan going between camps. And also too, as speaking of, the last thing here before we introduce our power play guest here, if you will, right? Or substitute here, if you're not watching the stream. Is the competition where you don't see any judges. I had no idea there was 5 judges watching a competition, and they caught Tiff not having one foot on the balance beam right away for Jonathan to win. And so that was a cool, kind of side thing where, because I always talk about the competitions where they talked about the people in the background, the supporting studio people, whatever you want to call it, right? Crew. And so that was kind of cool. And I mean, Tiff, didn't matter for her. She still survived the day, but I'm not sure how much it would have played. It probably was better that Jonathan was the one going between camps than Tiff, I think. So I was saving it, all that talk, because I couldn't talk at all last week. So there you go.
We want to give you your time. But joining us now is, we do have a Mater, so it's officially stamped a Mater event. Why aren't you in Turkey?
Oh, he couldn't afford that. It's above my pay grade.
That is yes. I'm there with you. I understand that completely. Joining us, the one and only Jeff Mater. Thank you for joining us, Jeff.
Hey, excited. We got 2 evictions to talk about.
Yes, and if anyone didn't know, spoiler alert. Let me put that there. Spoilers. All right, and we will be now going forward and talking about episode 12, Inconceivable. We already have one comment already, and that's from our good old Dave, asking if it's a good episode. So I asked a question to the panel: was this a good episode?
I think the better question is, what time is it in Turkey, and why is he awake?
Very good question.
I'm gonna look this up. I want to know.
If he can comment on the stream, then why didn't you watch Survivor? What are you doing? If you're saying good episode, then why did you just not watch the what's going on here? Could you have been on the podcast right now?
It's 5 a.m. in Istanbul right now.
Not Constantinople.
Okay, so then that
yeah, Constantinople. Yeah.
So that begs the question then: is he still awake from partying so hard the night before? Because we all know Dave loves to party.
Or he's up for a morning run. It's one or the other.
Or is it for a morning run?
We got an answer. He can't sleep. He can't sleep.
So did he watch the episode though? Because that's really the question, and you really have to chime in here, because clearly you didn't. If it's a good episode, because those who watch the stream have already seen the episode. So I don't know who this, it's a poser maybe, because I don't know who's this Super Dave Mater.
Well, Dave, sorry to spoil it for you. but we had 2 evictions this episode, and the 2 evictions were Devon's and then also Suri. Dave says no. All the channels here are in Turkish.
I think he
You
means
have the internet, sir.
Turkey-ish.
I didn't realize Wi-Fi. I didn't realize Wi-Fi and internet was in Turkish as well.
Right. There are ways around this, Dave.
This is Dave.
Come on,
he doesn't want to break any international laws. Global, global is watching.
He's in the Middle East. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Stay
but
safe,
I asked
Dave.
the question. Foster, was this a good episode?
Yeah, honestly, I thought so. Yeah, I mean the first tribal, the first half was not that interesting in my opinion. It could have been a lot more, exciting. It was one of those ones where they just kind of mislead you to thinking it was going to be voted somewhere else, and it ended up being Devon's, kind of flat. And the second one, apparently they, obviously it was recorded a while ago, but they finally listened to us. That Suri needed to go. She was going to win it all. And so that at least second half was really interesting.
Okay. Jeff, your feelings.
About what? The whole episode, or like
was it a good episode?
It was kind of like predictable and kind of boring. I felt like it was okay, but like, I mean, the big moment was Suri getting ousted. I think that that was a big moment for the show because like I thought she was walking to the final, like I really did. So for her, like Devon's going out was like like the 2 favorites in the episode, like to win the game, got ousted.
Yeah,
and now to me it's like Aubrey is now the new favorite. The rest of the people, I don't know, maybe Tiffany, is got a chance, I guess, but like I mean, I think Aubrey's gonna win if she gets to the final.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I left the episode. I was like, it's Aubrey or Tiffany's game to lose.
What do you feel, Becky?
I liked the episode personally. But it was interesting because like what was it, halfway through the like when they were talking about voting out Suri and all that, they could have like we were talking about it and saying like, why didn't they all just get together and vote out Jonathan or oh my gosh, what's his name? Joe, because they're the 2 strongest players. It's almost like yeah.
And my response, I like the episode, even though it was fairly predictable. Sometimes that's how it has to go. Sometimes, right? Sometimes people wake up and they take stock of what their situation is, and they're like, oh, we've let the
I really don't like Rizzo.
we let things go on too long, right? So
preach.
And I think it was time for Devon's and it was time for Suri to go. Although good on Suri, at least we're trying to make it interesting at the very least, because lesser players would have just rolled over.
Tiffany is so mad that Rizzo didn't play that idol.
So we got it seems that our sleeping guest has many things to say. So Dave says Devon's and Suri were the 2 front runners to win, so it makes sense they would get them out. So does that leave Aubrey as the front runner to win now?
That's what I just said, Dave.
Yeah. Wow, really behind, eh?
Or is Jonathan a contender to win, Dave?
No.
So
let me just say that the comments by one person is never this talkative. I don't know about you guys. This is the most commentary we've had from one viewer. It's we appreciate the global interest, right, and the global support,
the enthusiasm.
Yes.
Without even seeing the episode.
Yes. I think that you're really seeing a lot of the goats being now put front and center. Joe, despite she loves Joe, right? Joe is a very nice person, but I think Joe has 0 winning capital amongst the jury, right? He is a loyal soldier, but I don't think that's respected.
His gameplay doesn't stick out much.
It's not respected at all, right?
Rizzo.
Rizzo supposedly everyone dislikes,
I don't like Rizzo.
right?
At least Rizzo is understands, has some sort of self-awareness and understands the game.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Joe and Jonathan are just literally numbskulls. Like, to watch them play
Sure.
the game, at least the edit is that's how they are portrayed. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they are portrayed as like literally dumbos,
Meatheads.
meatheads.
Sure,
But
meatheads.
with Jonathan's case, he believes he is better than his station. So he's like, this was a good move by me, right? And like Rizzo's kind of like rizzing him up, right? He's like, yeah, good job, Jonathan. And Aubrey's like, no, everyone knows that it was me, right? Ozzy's gonna know it's me, right? And I think the jury's gonna know very well that it was Aubrey who had was the master stroke that kind of really sunk Ozzy's game. Well, technically, Ozzy sunk his own game.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this: who sunk Cerie's game tonight? Was it Aubrey?
No. It
I
was.
think it was
techni-
Rizzo.
It was Tiffany, technically.
Yeah. Well, who
'Cause that's
voted
the
was
domino.
who voted was Cerie?
No, I think
Tiffany.
well, it was Tiffany, but I think
Tiffany?
for the Cerie thing, I felt like just because Rizzo flipped, like I will give credit.
Yeah.
I don't like Rizzo.
Right,
You know,
right.
I got to give credit where credit's
Mm.
due, though. But I don't. That vote does not happen if Rizzo does not make a push. Like you said, Jeff, he is self-aware. Like you got to give
Yeah.
credit to him.
Yeah.
It's my issue with him is my biggest issue has always been like kind of the cockiness, right? The not being humble, the not. And again, I think Aubrey said it really best where no one like why would you vote for him in the end? It's not that he's like a hateful player, it's just that he like she said he is annoying, right? And he doesn't have a resume. Like he really does not have a like a speech like that he's going to I don't think he can beat anybody on that beach if he's in any combination is what I'm saying. Right? But him flipping kind of pushed the Cerie vote.
Just to read to my statement of why I feel it was technically the Tiffany domino was no one wants to get rid of Jonathan and Joe, right? That was never an option.
Yeah.
And the moment that Tiffany was not an option and Rizzo had the idol, it was a game of musical chairs, and the two people who were left standing were Aubrey and Cerie, right? And regardless of what happens, Rizzo not being involved, when people look at the two of them, Cerie is the bigger threat,
And,
right?
and
So
you
I
saw
think
it.
that Rizzo could just go like this, just blow in Cerie's direction, right? And like it's already falling down.
You saw it on Cerie's face the second the challenge finished and Tiffany won. Like you saw it, she knew. She was like, "It's me or to Aubrey," and Cerie knew. It's obvious.
Aubrey knew too.
Yeah, it was
Aubrey knew
obvious. It was obvious to take Cerie out. Like it just like this is your chance. Do it.
And
you know.
Yeah. And Aubrey was too cute in her involvement. So we had I guess we'll just kind of jump into the challenge a little bit. So we have this and obviously we're spending a lot of time talking about the second challenge because honestly the first episode was a bunch of yada yada, right? It wasn't anything too interesting or spectacular, but the second episode had a little bit more intro, and I consider this a separate episode. They could have just ended it after the hour, right, and then boot up a new intro for the second hour.
Yeah.
Right?
It was like 2 episodes smashed together.
Yeah, it's 2 episodes. So I guess we'll briefly talk about the first episode. Devin wakes up looking for an idol early in the morning. Jonathan is a shadow. Everyone's like, hey, it has to be Devin's.
He was looking for his contacts.
Right? Is looking for his contact. Devins doesn't find anything. Devins doesn't win the challenge. Joe wins it, takes Cerie and Rizzo to get ribs, and Devins is voted out. That's basically the first episode. Right? Anything to add?
Well, there was some like I guess there was some stuff with Devon's, I think, where I just felt like he was kind of carrying the narrative of the first episode because it was his elimination episode. And he was
Yeah.
very emotional and he was talking a lot about, what it means to be on the show and like all that kind of stuff, which you're not really getting from Joe or Jonathan, or you're not really
Yeah.
getting from those characters,
It's his eulogy. It's his eulogy, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else? Okay. I have some brief notes. I'll keep it brief. Suri being angry at Ozzy for what he did in terms of putting all the information on the table was interesting to see. Also, it was interesting to see Ozzy's reaction to Devon's Sean the Dark not working, with saying like yes, hoping that Devon's was voted out. You can see Ozzy is so primed to be a bitter jury member. He seems very angry, and I think the way the narrative is being built is that Rizzo or Aubrey, one of the two of them, are gonna be there at the end to feel his quote unquote the wrath. What's it called again? Let's get into the second part, which is what we're going to be talking about majority of the time. So once again, we get everyone talking and everyone saying we've got to get Rizzo out.
But it started with Tiffany. They wanted Tiffany out.
Tiffany first starts talking about Rizzo, right?
Flushing the idol.
Jonathan looks annoyed.
Yeah.
Right. Now Aubrey starts talking about Tiffany, right, to get voted out. But then it seems that she doesn't really do any work, and it's more Rizzo that's going around and talking to people about it. And I can understand Aubrey's situation because Aubrey was the runner-up for Survivor Go Wrong, and many people feel that she should have won. But she lost out to Michelle, which she's made peace to it. And Michelle played a game that we didn't necessarily see front and center, but was respected by the jury. So she is afraid that Tiffany is going to be in the Michelle kind of situation and take it from her. So she wants to eliminate all the people that could possibly challenge her, including Rizzo, and eventually later on the episode, Suri.
Do you think like she's correct where Aubrey was saying that Tiffany's like her Michelle, like that's her biggest threat? Like, do you think like if Aubrey sits beside Tiffany, do you think Tiffany wins?
Well, she believes that Tiffany has a lot of people that's going for her in the jury. And if you think about it, Ozzy isn't mad at Tiffany. Ozzy's more mad at Aubrey and Ozzy. Suri seems very close to, if she gets into the jury, seems very close to Tiffany more than Aubrey. Right? Where's Devon's? Devon's, has a good relations with Aubrey, but is Devon's going to respect a Tiffany game more than an Aubrey game?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think he would respect Aubrey's game more.
Okay. Well,
Christian, I think he would vote for Aubrey as well.
Okay. Coach
would probably go Tiffany. Yep.
All right. Stephanie,
probably Tiffany. Stephanie likes competitions.
All right. And then Chrissy. I don't think Chrissy likes Aubrey that much, although I think she respects Aubrey a lot. So
that one I don't know. Yeah.
I think Suri would probably vote Aubrey.
I think Suri would vote
because she said like I hope we can't keep meeting like this. Like I hope next time we're on a beach, we're actually on vacation. Like
maybe. I just think
so.
That
I think
maybe from Aubrey's point of view, it becomes too muddy. She knows where everyone stands with Suri. Right? With Tiffany, she's not so sure about. And last time she played, she was kind of blindsided by how everyone felt about it. Right?
Yeah, I totally see what you're saying there. Because, Tiffany's the one player, if I'm Aubrey, that I'm worried about. Like, I get, other than Suri. Like, if I'm Aubrey, I want Suri out. But it didn't seem like this episode, that's what Aubrey wanted. Aubrey was kind of, more worried about Tiffany. than Suri. And I'm just like, Suri is the threat. Like, get rid of her. You can worry about, you can beat Tiffany in a final 3 if you just talk right. You cannot beat Suri in a final 3. Suri gets the final 3, she's winning, hands down, it's over.
Do you think that the reason why people were willing to let Suri languish, I say that in quotations, is because when it comes down to, let me get you back on there, Foster. When it gets to a final 4, and if there's fire making, the move is to fight Suri in fire.
Yeah, I think there's some truth to what you were saying a couple of weeks ago, where you're like, you can get Suri out anytime. She's never going to win an immunity challenge ever in her life to save her soul. And, unless she gets someone to give her an idol, or like, she never really had that tight of an alliance except with Ozzy. That was the only person that I could see actually saving Suri in this game. So once Ozzy was out, Suri was on an island, I think. Even though she had Rizzo, or she had, she didn't really have them. They were just pawns for her in the game. And then they came for the queen, in this episode. That's what happened. Which made sense, like this was the time to get her. It's either this one or the next vote, and so getting her here just makes all the sense in the world, because who's really, like, that's the thing, is we could get a really weird final 3 here where it's Jonathan, Joe, and Rizzo, and then we go, who wins? I think Rizzo probably wins. I think Rizzo. Who are you going to vote for? Do you think Jonathan would win in that situation? Josh, who would you vote for? If it's Jonathan, Joe, or Rizzo, who are you going to vote for?
Jonathan.
Yeah. Becky?
I'd vote for Jonathan.
You'd vote Jonathan over Joe?
I think what it comes down to in that situation is that, because it comes down to 2 things. One, Jonathan, I believe, is more liked, and he has the immunity wins, right? Now Joe has immunity wins as well, right? Don't get me wrong, but again, part of what made
Aubrey so dangerous is, I'm just trying to fill in the words, is that she is respected by the jury
for her strategic
game, but Jonathan has kind of snuck in there and taken some of the thunder from what Aubrey's moves are. So Joe, I think, is better liked, but Jonathan is better respected. This is what I think Foster was trying to say before he got cut off.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I don't know. For me, like, just for, like, now we're the audience member, we're not in the game. But for me, I would probably vote for Rizzo, because I think Rizzo has played the best strategic game. The other 2 guys have not played a strategic game almost at all.
Not at all.
He's played the proper rat floater.
Yeah, the rat floater game, which, you know what, it's not ideal, but it's respectable as a strategic play. The other 2 guys really just played the role of, kind of just meat shields, but like not even in a way where like they were like threat. They were like meat shield non-threats. And so like to win the game like that is just like, to me, like, why I just don't respect it. If I was on the jury, I would vote for the strategic player, me personally, and I think, and it's season 50. I think a lot of these players, are going to look at it like, well, what did you do? Like, how did you get here? Other than like, you weren't really the big threat, even though you were like competition beasts, which is kind of insane. When you think about it, like how did you accomplish that? It's impressive.
You can get to the end of Survivor by winning competitions, but that doesn't necessarily mean you win the game.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, exactly.
And so Tiffany has won challenges and also has done some minor things.
Yeah.
Right?
And
she's liked. Aubrey has been at the bottom for such a long period of time. But yet,
has Aubrey won any challenges?
I don't think so.
No immunity, right?
I think she's got one immunity necklace.
Maybe she won once. The thing with Aubrey is like Aubrey's got reputation of being a good player, and like like I think she just has respect. Like I think, like you said, like everyone kind of thinks she should have won caught wrong, and she kind of didn't, only because she was kind of viewed as like a game bot. That's really the only reason she lost that season. Michelle was just a little bit more liked, and she also played a somewhat strategic game socially, and that's why she got the win. But like Aubrey definitely played the better like survivor game. In that season, and for that she got respect. And if you look at the players left, like I mean, it's really, to me, it's between Rizzo and Aubrey. Like those are the two last survivor players left in the game. The other people left are kind of just competition players. Like they're good compies, and they can kind of like, they know what to do, and they can kind of like see where the writing is on the wall and a vote. But like for the most part, they're not savvy players. Like really, they're like 4 out of 10 on savvy strategic play. And for me, it's season 50. You get to the end, the strategic player, I would get my respect because they should have been a threat.
Okay. So, I'm going to start with you, but I want everyone else to answer this question too.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a scenario where Joe wins. I'm like,
okay,
pie in the sky.
I can step in.
Okay, yeah, because I'm still thinking.
I can step in. So I think him and Jonathan play very similar games. So you don't want to, like, it's basically kind of that, you split the votes, his votes going his way, right? I think that he would have to, and here's the thing, I get what you're saying, Jeff, about Rizzo. I'm thinking about the jury, right? And the problem is that I don't think that they would give him the votes based on how they have viewed him this season. And I also don't think that he has a strong case. I think in the case of Joe, there's a few things that have to break his way. Basically, he would have to go against Tiff and Rizzo. And in my opinion, Tiff would have to have a worse final tribal speech than Joe, right? Like Joe would have to, like, I guess they have a, like, Tiff and Joe are similar as well, but I mean, Tiff is more likable. Again, this is, even you could I guess sort of say the same thing between Joe and Jonathan, but he has to not only have a great final tribal speech, but the other people or person has to basically like shoot themselves in the foot. I don't know. Like, you don't go in there with him being the favorite, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it would.
I don't know how else to look at it, because there's really no other way where I don't think he's walking into any situation in this final 6, where he's the clear favorite.
Well, I don't think Joe played a really good social game in the fact of like really bonding to anyone and having that.
Devins is not voting for Joe.
No, and like he kind of Joe played a more like coattail game. I think like he was on, like, he follows a lot this season and not making the moves that he was last season. Okay. But then was he really? Because maybe it was Ava that was calling.
Ava and Kyle
that were calling the shots.
I feel like the biggest strike. I'm going to turn around and say my scenario as to where could Joe win, how Joe can win. But the biggest issue with Joe's game is that he did not necessarily learn from his season, right? And it's recent enough that people are aware of what he did his season and seen the same fallings from that season to this season. That is his biggest detriment. At the same time, you have possibly a time bomb in terms of Ozzy sitting there. And if Ozzy can complain and whine and Sue Hawk his way into convincing the jury into not voting for other people to vote for Joe, right? Because he played the truest way of himself. Possibly you could see a scenario winning for it. Joe is very upfront in terms of who he is and how he's gonna play, and everyone's kind of laughs at that. But if someone kind of puts it into context that it can be respected, then I think Joe has an opportunity to win. All right, we have some comments from our Turkish representative. Dave says, these are great takes, especially from Jeff, of the final five. I think the two women, Aubrey and Tiffany, are the two biggest jury threats. Aubrey for strategy and Tiffany for competition and grit. So the question he asks, do the three men players understand this strategically?
Well,
and
yeah,
then also he mentions Joe could get Coach and Chrissy to vote for him, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think there might be exactly that epiphany coming up here where the men go, we should go to the end together. Like we they're gonna figure out that Aubrey and Tiffany are probably the best jury threats. And like I said, like that's why I think, like I said, like if it's a Joe, Jonathan, Rizzo finale, I could see Rizzo winning. Like I really could. Like
People would be
really
so angry.
They would be.
I just think Jonathan winning is kind of silly too. Like
Yeah.
he's just not a very good Survivor player. Like he's not.
No.
Like he's good at competitions. And then we have Joe is I just don't think he's liked. I think that he rubs people the wrong way, and that's why Jonathan has the edge on him there. But like Rizzo's yeah, he's just playing the game. Like he's playing at the rat game. People don't respect the rat. I get it, but like,
well, I guess also too, like think of it this way, Jeff. And here's and again, that's what my kind of perception is as well between Joe and Jonathan, right? In terms of like Jonathan has the more likable votes, if you will, right from the jury. I also think with Rizzo, it's like, I mean, yeah, there's like, there's the annoyance or the arrogance or what have you, right? But one thing that I guess I kind of look at it as well, and yeah, like this with the Suri vote and everything, he did, like I said, I gave him his kudos earlier, is that like he's never been put in a position this season where he's been at threat. Like he's never been put in a position to actually survive, and this kind of went with like last season as well with him, where like people did not really see him as a threat, and that kind of showed up in the final tribal, or not the final tribal. Sorry, he made it to 4. Sorry, he didn't make it to final tribal. But it just doesn't. I don't know. I guess what you said is that people don't respect. Maybe this jury won't respect his game, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Even though it is more strategic, I guess, to kind of also, further your point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how else to really look at it, right? Like it's again, I try to look at it from both sides, right? And I'm trying to very strategic, like I'm strategically looking at it from how is the jury going to see this, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the way you got to look at it. Like I guess like for me, it's like if it's me and I'm on the jury, the first thing I'm going to look at is the strategic play. That's number one, and then number two, like competitions to me should not matter. And like like you look at like a Suri or I get they matter to coach, but you look at some of the other players, like even Ozzy. I think like he realized this season, like I can win a competition, but that's not what's going to win me the game.
Yeah.
What's going to win you the game is your relationships and your social. Like I do think Jonathan's a threat. If that's the final 3 to win, I still think Rizzo would win. Like I don't know, we were wrong, but
I think I think that the last challenge that we just saw is going to be an element that would be talked about in the final tribal, because if Tiffany is there and Suri goes, yeah, Aubrey, Jonathan, Joe, and Rizzo all teamed up trying to beat her,
Mhm.
and she did not get any help, and she beat all of them, right, to save herself. That is something that can be used as a feather in her cap when you're talking in Final Tribal, especially that knowledge is going to be there by Sari. If Aubrey's in the jury, she's going to bring it up too, right, as to why Tiffany should win.
Yep. I think you're right about that.
Okay. Well, we did get some questions that were asked by Jeff Probst at the end of the episode regarding the finale, which is
Next
3
week.
hours next week.
Which is insane.
72 hours worth of.
Yeah. So
There's going to be.
is there going to be fire?
Yeah.
What is the Final Four challenge? And will there be a live tribal, or will it be
flown to LA?
Yes, we know the answer to the last one, right? There will be
Alive.
the final flown to LA or New York, wherever they decide to do that. But do we know the answer? Is there going to be fire, and do we know what the Final Four challenge will be?
I don't. I would imagine it's the balls. It's always the balls.
Is there ever a chance it could be Final Two, or is that not a thing?
They did it last time. Last time they did it was in the Tony season.
You mean Edge of Extinction?
War?
No, Kage
40.
Hunt. No, they do it in 40.
Didn't they do it 40? Wasn't it Tony versus Nat?
Oh, maybe
as the final two.
Maybe they did it in 40. Yeah, and then before that it was Kage
I don't remember who was the third person, but
let me look it up. That's interesting. It's like I
mean,
remember
if they don't do fire, then that means they would have to do again, even if it's not Final Two. But if they don't do fire, they would have to do another immunity challenge to go from 4 to 3.
It was a final 3.
Another vote.
The final 3 to go from 3 to 2, right?
It was a final 3 in 40.
If it's fire, if they use fire for final 4, right? So remember, final four has a challenge, but the challenge win allows you to choose who does fire, right? So we need to know what the final 4 challenge is and if they're going to do fire at all. It could just be another tribal instead of fire.
It could.
And we got confirmation from Turkey. 40 was not final 2.
Yeah, it was Tony, Michelle, and Natalie. That was the final 3.
Tony, Michelle?
Yep.
Michelle who? Fitzgerald?
Yep.
Wow. Aubrey was like,
yeah, Aubrey was pissed twice. I hope Aubrey. I'm kind of pulling for Aubrey. I hope like Aubrey's the person I'm hoping to wins this season. I feel like she deserves it. She's gonna earn it. Like if she gets it, I hope she gets it. Because
she's definitely survived. That's for sure.
Yeah, which is like to me like that is the name of the game. Tiffany's game has been ride Cerise's coattails. Win challenges, granted, she's won some challenges, and I'll give her full credit for that. But for the most part, she hid behind Cerise's strategic play the whole season.
Yeah.
So is that not the same as Rizzo's, but more liked?
Well, why? Because she won competitions. Like this is like the whole thing for me. It's
I'm not saying that
right.
It's different because I'm not saying that it's better or anything like that. But is it not what Rizzo did? But she won competitions, sure, whatever. I'm not really, but she's more liked.
She is more liked, I guess. You know,
I feel like people are gonna get sick of her constantly pointing out that Rizzo has a idol.
Well, she's gonna be insufferable next episode because she's like, I told you all should have went for Rizzo, but you guys didn't.
I feel like Rizzo's played the game more than Tiffany.
Yeah. Yes. Like I find. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Like I find. For me, it's like I find Tiffany a coattail rider. And whereas Rizzo is like a rat in a maze, and he's just hiding, but he's like willing to zig and zag. You know.
Yeah.
Whereas Tiffany is just like I just see a player that is just trying to grunt out the win through competitions and hiding behind shields.
Okay.
And Rizzo does that too. I'm not saying he doesn't, but like he's more involved.
Yeah.
With
Like, he was like, when he was like, "Oh, Siri, I'll go right to the end with Siri. I'll go right to the end." Turns around, votes out Siri.
right.
Like he's playing the game.
Yeah.
You know,
like
you don't see Tiffany doing that.
Even tonight, Tiffany's like, doing the challenge, and everyone, even Aubrey didn't even try to do the challenge. Like she was just like, no, it's inconceivable. They couldn't even spell it.
So Joe figures it out first.
Oh my god!
And then Joe and Jonathan, between the two of them, are like, I don't know how to spell it. And then doesn't tell Rizzo. Rizzo tells them what it is, but then
Aubrey's telling them how to spell it.
Rizzo also told them how to spell it. They still, both of them spell it wrong.
They spelled it wrong.
Was like blatantly wrong.
They couldn't. They could always. There's always at least one person that forgets that you have to spell it on both sides.
Both
so like,
of them
it's
did.
right, it's right, and it's like, look at the other side. It's like they don't hear Jeff. I don't understand.
Yeah,
Aubrey just won it.
And then they cut to Tiffany after the challenge, and it's like, Tiffany, you did so good. You weren't even paying attention. Did you notice they were all trying to beat you? She's like, no, I had tunnel vision. I didn't care what they were doing. I have ADHD. And it's, I'm just like, that's how she plays Survivor too. Like she just, tunnel vision, and try and just grunt her way to the end, strategically, which is like, I just don't really. It's not playing the game for me. It's
but if it's Tiffany, Jonathan, and Joe, that's her winning dynamic.
Tiffany.
I think she wins. Yeah, I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
if it's Aubrey and any combination of the other four, does Aubrey win?
Aubrey wins.
I think it's the most interesting if Rizzo and Tiffany are both in the final two.
Ooh,
with Joe.
With whoever, Jonathan.
Joe. One of them. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting because Rizzo's argument against Tiffany, I think, would be compelling. Because Tiffany's gonna go, you all like me and I won competitions, and then Rizzo's gonna say, well, I actually played the game pretty strategically. You might not like me or respect my strategic play, but I played. And players like Devins and Ozzy are going to respect that. They're going to go, yeah, that's a good point.
So Turkey Dave says Tiffany is a fan favorite, and this season is in the hands of the fans. Thank you, Turkey Dave. That is very evident. It seems that being halfway across the world has not hampered your analytical skills whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that comment.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.
Doesn't turkey make you sleepy?
Yes.
Is it dry?
Tryptophan.
There's tryptophan, in it to make you exhausted.
Is turkey dry?
Yeah, so how is Turkey Dave not sleepy right now? I don't understand. This is what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. Is he even in Turkey right now?
Is he in
Dave the Rave mode? Is he in Dave the Rave mode?
I don't know. He's up at 5 a.m. there. I don't know what he's doing.
I think you hit it on the head there, Jeff. He's definitely went for a run.
For a run, listening to us.
Yes.
5 a.m. in Turkey.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yeah, I don't know. There's not really there wasn't really too much with the episode. The challenges were, got to chime in at least for myself about that. It was pretty standard. Nothing really kind of crazy, nothing exciting. Joe won it again. Good for him. He's got kind of that one challenge in the bag. The obstacle course. I'm always not a big fan of the obstacle course. The puzzle was just ridiculous how they couldn't spell, but okay.
Foster, for audio listeners only, Turkey Dave the Rave, has given us more information about his turkey trip, saying he had tandoori turkey for dinner last night.
So that's
breaking news.
That's the equivalent of having Kentucky Fried Chicken in Kentucky. It's when in Rome, when in Turkey.
When in Turkey. Does Dave just let us know? Did you ask for any stuffing at all while you're in Turkey? Right? Just want to know if that's an option. That's it. Get some stuffing in Turkey. Or are they telling you that usually the stuffing is outside of Turkey, right? So no stuffing in the turkey, always outside, right?
Mm.
Things I need to know.
No.
Turducken.
Oh,
Turducken.
turducken. Anything else, team?
No, I think I've gotten my word. I've said my piece.
Yeah,
Said
there's
your
not
piece?
really. Again, I feel like there's a pretty easy kind of, we kind of didn't say it bluntly, but there's a pretty easy, like, for the majority, there's a hierarchy in terms of like capability to win. Like if we're kind of going through all the scenarios, if you will, when you take all each other's comments, you kind of look at it like, from top to bottom, Aubrey, Tiff, and just in terms of will ability, right? Not in terms of our personal preferences, right? But if it's at the end, you could say Rizzo, Jonathan, let's say a 3-4. And then, I'd say Joe's probably fifth, right? So again, it's just more so like any combination of those three. I think, I mean, I could be wrong, but based on our conversations, I feel like that's kind of the sense of, kind of, I guess, best chance to win, I guess, in that order.
Okay.
I don't know if I don't know if you guys disagree with that, but
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dave has a great question.
Turkey is
never
the
mind.
bird. Was named after the Turks. Fun fact: no stuffing so far, but food is awesome. And then this question, my final question is: how do you get those 6 jury votes if you're Rizzo or Jonathan? And I think we've already
If you're
talked.
if you're together and you're going against Joe.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
Because Joe's not getting any votes. So then it's just between Rizzo and
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Do you think that Joe might get a vote if Ozzy's really bitter against the other 2 members?
Were they on the tribe that voted him out? I guess they were, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
But Jonathan was too. Yeah, so Joe wasn't? Yeah, maybe Joe wasn't.
Joe wasn't.
Ozzy's the type of guy to be bitter. That's
Yeah.
his.
He looks bitter.
Even though he threw the game, though, like he threw his game.
Yeah.
I'm really hurt, you guys. Yeah, God, I really trusted you. It's
Inconceivable.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. I don't know how they could spell it wrong in so many ways and not know how to spell it at all at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
When they've
realize you have to
spelled that word
spell the same
before.
thing back.
But
So-
they've spelt it before because they did that exact challenge, but it was slightly bigger with the same word.
Now, obviously, if Dave was here, we would get like a whole bunch of Princess Bride clips, right? But unfortunately, no, we didn't. So let's see who still has people in this game.
I did update it. So
Okay.
I don't know if you want to pull it up, but I've got it in front of me, the sheet, if you will. I did update it, Dave, just so you know I got you covered, buddy.
Okay, so
I do
Team
have it pulled
Daryl
up.
has Joe.
Team
Okay.
Daryl has Joe. Jeff and Amanda finally got out tonight with
No.
both Rick and Sari getting out.
I know.
Wow.
It was
Um,
a bad night for Team Jeff and Amanda.
Team Becky and Jaemeel still have Tiffany.
Yeah.
Team Jen has Aubrey, and Team Sean is in the lead with both Jonathan and Rizzo.
Is he though? Is he?
Not based on the hierarchy.
But we all remember that Jenna was telling everyone to get out Suri at the very beginning. At the very beginning. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. I don't know what's happening next week. Honestly, 3 hours is a pain.
That's
It's
a
an
long.
absolute pain.
That's a haul.
They should have started at an hour earlier, in my opinion. But and we will not. Most likely, we will not be covering the reunion show live.
Well, it depends if they read the votes, though.
No,
if they're
they
gonna
do.
do the votes in
They read
Vegas.
the votes and then
and then they go into the reunion.
for an hour. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wait, is it 3 hours and then an hour reunion, or 3 hours total? So 2 hours.
I think it's 3 hours and a reunion.
Oh my goodness!
Yes.
You know, there's a term. There's a term that in football when it has the late night football games on Sunday night, and Monday night when it's early in the season at 10 o'clock, and it goes to overtime, and the term is that East Coast dads are suffering, when it goes so late. So I'm not a dad, but East Coast dads are going to be suffering next week. That's for sure.
Very true. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. So, on behalf of Foster, Z-Mater here that made it and is not in Turkey, and then also Turkey, Dave, Becky, and myself. Thank you for joining us. Next week, back to your regular finale program. Yep. Okay. Now we put the background. We put the little thingy thing. Where's there it is. Outro.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And take a peek into the darkness with Heard Noise. Must Investigate with Michael Chan. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.